Good day, everyone. My name is David Lokhat. I'm an associate professor in the School of Engineering. And I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come in today and present on my paper, which is largely an experiential account of the last 18 months and my use of an innovative teaching and learning tool within one of my modules. Now, to start us off, I'd like to provide some context to the study. Now, we've all been through this rapid change over the last 2 years with a migration from the contact-based teaching platform to an online teaching platform. And in many respects, it was a disruption to the status quo. We all needed to reevaluate how our modules were being taught and how our learning outcomes were being assessed. The COVID-19 pandemic did two things from a teaching perspective. Firstly, it accelerated the digital transformation of education in the traditional universities. And secondly, it made necessary the interrogation of our current teaching practices. Suddenly, there was no way to hide. And we all needed to sit back and look at how our modules were being taught and whether our assessments were being conducted in the correct way. And we also had this gradual migration away from the traditional lecture, tutorial, test examination approach to the use of a continuous assessment platform with the use of multiple assessments. Now, this naturally made it quite difficult for students that were integrated into the program and had a particular learning style, which I've illustrated on this slide. Typically, students would have 13 weeks to participate in lectures and tutorials, but also in assignments and tests. Now, these assignments and tests, which conventionally have a low contribution to the final module mark, and hence would garner a low investment from the students. These 13 weeks would then be followed by a 1 to 2 week study period where the bulk of the learning was actually taking place and the students were engaging with the learning material. And this was naturally followed by the 1 week of exams. Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic and the move towards online teaching, this all changed. Students now had 13 weeks in order to partake in the lectures and tutorials, but also to undertake the multitude of assessments that were thrown at them. And this led to some unfamiliar strain on the students' part. Now, operationally, we also had some challenges, specifically with regards to plagiarism and collusion in the online assessments. Using various websites such as Chegg, students could get real-time answers to some of their tests and quizzes. They were physically taking tests together as groups. They were communicating via WhatsApp during tests, and even going as far as hiring higher-level students to sit and take the assessments for them. Now, in and amongst all of these things, I noticed something very clear. The student network, rather counterintuitively, had actually improved. And I began to wonder, could we actually put this student network to better use? So I began thinking about a peer-to-peer system that could be used for this purpose. Now, a peer-to-peer bonus system is not something unique. It has traditionally been used in businesses and large corporations to motivate and reward employees. But it's not a top-down approach. In this approach, the colleagues or the employees are the ones that recognize good work from each other and reward them for that. And I began to think, how could a peer-to-peer system like this actually be adapted for a teaching and learning perspective? And so I put together a rather simple peer-to-peer bonus system for one of my final year modules, ENCH4RT, or Applied Reactor Technology. The system allocates credit points for various peer activities, such as uploading solutions to problems, uploading literature sources, or providing section summaries. It also provides credits for peer-to-peer interaction, such as helping students with tutorial problems, study sessions, and providing personal notes. The students use various platforms to engage with this peer-to-peer exercise. They set up informal and formal WhatsApp groups. They made good use of the Zoom platform for meetings, either in individual meetings or in groups, as well as liberal use of the Moodle forums. Now, in order to support the peer-to-peer exercise, I decided to use scenario assignments as the exclusive assessment tool within the ENCH4RT module. In scenario assignments, the students respond to an open-ended problem, and in this way, it also tests the students' critical thinking ability. The students are required to submit a short report, but provide their unique perspective on the solution. although they are still able to discuss and interrogate the problem as groups. I present here on this slide a completed peer evaluation form from one of the students that participated in the exercise. And as can be seen, the student provided many student summaries for the work, as well as a section on a problem that has been solved in class. The student also participated quite effectively by having peer interactions, so helped 4 students with their tutorial problems and some of the calculations within the module. Now, the final year modules within our chemical engineering program traditionally have quite high pass rates, and this year was no exception. In fact, the 4RT module enjoyed a pass rate of over 90%. Now, comparing the performance of the ENCH 4RT module to other 4th year professional modules within our program, one can see that, in general, the performance in ENCH 4RT was better. However, performance in the other modules can be affected by other factors, such as the prerequisite knowledge coming into that module, as well as the type and level of assessments that were used in assessing that particular module. And so, I decided to rather compare the performance in ENCH 4RT to ENCH 3RT, which is a 3rd year module that is linked to the ENCH 4RT module by way of learning outcomes and content. And what I found that all of the students that had participated in the program had improved their mark over the 3rd year module, in particular, those students that were below the class average. The peer-to-peer platform has the potential to grow into a valid method of enhancing student collaboration for a beneficial purpose. However, the participation needs to grow in order for us to actually quantify the knowledge transfer that is occurring on the ground. I can think of 2 ways in which the platform can be improved, which we'll be working on in the future. Firstly, the peer-to-peer evaluation form needs to be made more rigorous in order to fully quantify that knowledge transfer. And secondly, the reward system needs to be formalized to accommodate those students that not only serve as sources, but sinks that are taking in the knowledge that is gained through the peer-to-peer interaction. At this time, I'd like to thank you all for listening to my presentation, and I look forward to any questions that you may have. Thank you.